I've been really excited about LG's new dual mode OLED gaming monitor. It's amazing because you can switch from a 4K 244Hz panel to a 1080p 480Hz panel, giving you the best of the both worlds with just a click of a button. This is amazing for me because I've always struggled to balance a high refresh rate monitor for competitive gaming and a high resolution for work and creativity. I've tried almost every monitor size out there, from ultra-wides to 24-inch monitors and even some TVs. But each time I had to compromise on something. A 24-inch 540Hz monitor at 1080p is fantastic for gaming, but is not so great for work due to its low resolution and small size. On the flip side, 4K 240Hz monitors are great for creative work and story-based games, but not ideal for competitive gaming because pushing those frames at 4K is tough. And switching from two monitors is a hassle and expensive. LG is looking to solve this issue with this new dual mode monitor. You can go from 4K 244Hz to 1080p 480Hz in a matter of seconds. Sounds perfect, right? Well, almost. There are a few things to consider first. Firstly, this monitor is 32 inches, which is great for 4K, but not ideal for 1080p. Typically, 1080p monitors are 24 inches, giving you a pixel density of 92 ppi. But with this 32-inch screen, you get a pixel density of 69 ppi, which means it can look a bit more pixelated. I spent a lot of time playing in this mode, and honestly, in-game, you don't really notice a difference. It actually feels similar to other 1080p monitors, if not better because it's an OLED. You also might think that 32 inches is not ideal for competitive play, since all the competitive monitors are usually 24 inches. But actually pushing this back a little bit makes up for the low pixel density and actually gives you the same experience that a 24-inch monitor would when it's closer up. And I actually prefer gaming on this to my 27-inch OLED monitor, which says a lot. So the bigger size didn't bother me. LG also provides a 27-inch and a 24-inch mode in the menu settings, which can transform the monitor into a smaller, more familiar size. However, these modes aren't as sharp as the full screen mode. When the monitor is set to 4K resolution, it can seamlessly transition into a 1080p by converting every 4 pixels into 1, maintaining clarity. But when using these cropped modes, the pixels scaling is not as straightforward, resulting in a slightly blurry image. So you might not want to use these modes yourself. Now, about that 480Hz mode. I honestly didn't think I would notice a difference coming from a 240Hz OLED monitor. But wow, this feels like you're actually in real life and not in a game. It's the same transition I had when I went from 60Hz to 240Hz, which I did not expect. It's not going to make you a better player, but I feel like I can do things in-game that I couldn't do with a 240Hz monitor. Maybe it's just placebo, but I'm really enjoying this 480Hz mode. If the 480Hz mode doesn't interest you, this is still a 4K 240Hz OLED monitor. The 4K resolution offers incredible detail, and since it's OLED, the response times are almost instant, creating a more lifelike experience. The 240Hz refresh rate makes everything super smooth, perfect for story games and other games as well. Of course, you'll need a top-tier graphics card to push these high frames at 4K. My 4070 Ti struggles a little bit with demanding games, hitting around 60 to 100 frames, but with a 4080 or above, you'll enjoy this monitor to its full potential. For creative work, the 4K resolution gives you plenty of screen real estate. I can easily split the screens into 2 tabs and still see everything clearly. This is something I couldn't do on a 1440p monitor. I just felt that there isn't enough screen real estate. In Premiere Pro, for example, the extra space makes editing videos way easier. Everything is so detailed and sharp. I also really like the bezel-less design that LG went for. Of course, there's still a small bezel, but it's uniform all around and it looks very minimal and clean. There's no branding on the front, giving it a clean, minimal look, which I prefer over heavily branded monitors. I don't use the included stand because I mount my monitor on a monitor arm, but the stand is pretty good. It doesn't take much space, allows for versatile positioning, and has a cable management opening. It's probably the best stand I've seen on a monitor. Something that I've been really impressed by is the monitor speakers, which is weird for me because I've never seen good speakers on any monitor. LG is using what they call their pixel sound technology, which makes the sound come out of the pixels themselves, creating a more immersive experience. The sound quality is surprisingly good with decent bass. I can hear footstep directions in games, which adds to the immersion. Yeah, overall, I'm really happy that LG included great speakers in this monitor. Something that a lot of people are not going to want to hear is that this monitor has a matte coating, which is different from the glossy coating that you find on some new OLED monitors or most of the TVs that are around. I've personally owned the LG C2 OLED, which has the glossy finish, and I've experienced this firsthand, so I can tell you what my thoughts are on matte versus glossy. When I'm working during the day with the sun hitting my monitor, the matte finish reduces the glare. If it were glossy, I'd have to close my curtains and work in a darker environment, which I don't want to do. If you use your monitor at night and like the dark environment, the glossy finish gives a slightly sharper image. But if you like natural light during the day, you'd prefer this matte finish. This particular monitor is not as matte as you would think. It's actually kind of glossy, and it's very different from older matte displays that you're used to seeing. So I'm really happy they went with this matte finish because I can let light in my room and it doesn't affect the image quality as much. Another thing that worries people is the OLED sub-pixel layout. You see, OLED monitors have had bad text clarity because of their sub-pixel layout in the past. But LG uses a new layout in this monitor and it doesn't affect text clarity. The text looks sharp without any fringing. So if you're worried about text clarity, it's a non-issue here. Something else that I was worried about was the brightness of this monitor. You see, I've owned a 27-inch OLED monitor before, and the brightness on that monitor wasn't the best. It was barely enough for me not to return it, but it wasn't ideal. However, with this monitor, it's not the same. I've actually turned down the brightness so it doesn't hurt my eyes, which I think is a good sign. So if you're worried about brightness, it's a non-issue here. This monitor isn't cheap. It retailed for $1,300 USD. But considering that this is basically two monitors in one, if you really think about it, the price is justified. But I got mine for $1,100 USD, which I think is a steal. So definitely look out for any discounts. If you're only looking for one of the things that this monitor can do, whether that's the 4K 240Hz mode or the 1080p 480Hz mode, then getting a dedicated monitor for that mode will save you some money. But if you want the best of both worlds, then this monitor is a great choice. And I'm personally really happy that something like this exists. And I think that it's going to be on my desk for a long time until something better comes out.